Today we are going to broach on the subject of narcissism, more so on a milder version, manipulation within relationships and any sort of connection with anybody. We're not going to go into each kind of individual thing, whether that be the love bombing, the hoovering, the ghosting, the discarding, the flying monkeys. But yeah, I think gaslighting is a huge thing which can wreak havoc with someone's emotional health, mental health. But if we stay on the side of emotional health, when someone, no matter what age they are, refuses to take accountability for what they have done, they will try to gaslight another person, get you to question your reality in a way of denying what they've done, not taking the accountability, like I said, make you question everything, and almost make you feel like you are the crazy person, when it's a lot of the time it's their behaviours, their actions, their words, the things they have done to you that are untoward and more sort of...
And push your boundaries.
Yeah.
And whether you set boundaries when you're with any type of relationship, there's some sort of unspoken boundaries that just a level of integrity and respect, that if you are someone who's never encountered manipulative people, you don't quite understand where it comes from, and you have to actually, you do question yourself. You question yourself a lot, and you doubt yourself. You doubt your own thoughts, your own ideas, your own abilities. I mean, sometimes you're around people who they do subtle put downs or get you to question your own level of thoughts and your own, it can be as simple as how you do the shopping, how you pack the shopping away, how you drive your car. But these things they can happen in many relationships. People can make fun of how you drive or how you cook or how you clean
or how you
look. But if it's a one-off thing, it can be taken in jest. People are human. We all criticize each other, build each other up in different ways. When this is something that is sometimes subtly done to you, sometimes comes out of nowhere, and it's over a period of time, it can be so detrimental to you. And if you're not someone who is aware that there are people with these personality traits,
these intentions,
it can blindside you. You can go into a relationship, things are great. And remember, manipulative people are called that because they know how to manipulate. So they don't come to you and say, hey, would you like to go on a date with me? Or
I'm going to manipulate you.
I'm about to manipulate you. That's not how
they
it
present
works.
themselves. The mask is up. They could be, one of the greatest people you think that you have met. They could be intelligent. They could be good looking. They could be charmers. They could be attentive. They could do all the things that tick a lot of boxes. But like Tan said, for some people, it can make you question your reality, because a lot of the time, the things that they do and say, they will turn around and say, I didn't say that. I didn't do that. When you have blatantly seen it, they have blatantly done it, and they get you to make you think you didn't see what you saw, or you didn't hear what they said, making you kind of second guess yourself. That's why it's also very important to be self-assured, to know who you are, to know that, no, I did see what I saw. You did say what you said.
And I said what I said.
Yeah. So accountability is a huge thing. Myself and my cousin were talking yesterday, and we both agreed, which we know anyway, that age is not a defining factor when it comes to maturity, especially emotional maturity, emotional intelligence. So it doesn't matter how old the other person is or the people are in that situation. A lot of people, and I find that people who are emotionally immature are the people that will tend to manipulate a situation more.
Yeah, I think insecurities speak really loud.
Yeah.
You find people who are content with who they are, people who are knowing and self-assured. They don't need to talk about it. They don't need to proclaim how great they are, how godlike they might be. how magnificent they are, how intelligent they are, how well thought of and respected they are. You can see all these things for yourself. And speaking as women, grown women, you don't think that it's possible to have that done to you, but these people with these personality disorders, and some of these disorders that we talk about are actually disorders that can be diagnosed. There are many people who have some of these traits, and they're just sometimes just not very nice people, and we mustn't get not very nice people mixed up with narcissists or with manipulators, or these terms that we're using can be quite strong, and a lot of people are a bit tired of the word narcissist being thrown around, and
and that's why I said we can kind of, if we just talk about manipulation, which does cross over into narcissism, not everybody who manipulates someone else has a diagnosis or would need a diagnosis. Sometimes people are manipulative because they think it's funny, because they like to play games. Again, that goes over into emotional immaturity. And like Tan said, if you are a loving, caring, kind person, a good-hearted person, you would just not manipulate, because you would not want that done to you, so you would not do that to somebody else.
And I tend not to give relationship advice anymore, to be honest with you. It's something I used to do as a married person. People used to come to me for advice. I didn't really give it. Recently, people have still been coming to me for advice. Don't know why, but I'll give it. And one of the things I always say is, in the relationship, what got me through many years of marriages and what worked for our marriage was, put yourself in the other person's shoes. And if you're in a relationship with someone and they can never see your perspective on what's happening, or their actions or your actions to them, they can never take themselves out of themselves and see what their actions are doing to you. It's all about them, and it's all about them being the victim all the time. It's really dangerous. And what helped me is always saying, I understand this, but this is how I feel. Having someone who doesn't invalidate your feelings is huge. These are all things people put out as red flags, and what are green flags, but this is the experiences that I'm talking about that I've had, that having someone who can see a perspective and see your perspective is unmatched, because they wouldn't do things to you that they wouldn't like you to do back to them. And that's huge, because if every time you did something yourself and you thought, hold on, if I'm doing this, and if it was me and I'm my partner and this happened to me, how would I feel? How would I react? How would I respond? What would be my course of action? My cause and effect, because everything has a cause and effect. And people who are hell-bent on having you in a place where literally you're feeding them, you are their supply of the acknowledgement that they actually need to feel that they are great, because they don't feel great. And they have you there as their supply, so you keep feeding them with positivity, you keep telling them how amazing they can be, how great they can be, and in return you feel each day less and less good. You feel each day less and less fulfilled. You are not, you going through things emotionally and you're doing it by yourself, but yet still when they need you, they call you, and you will drop everything to give this person what they need. You have to just question yourself, and when you're in the thick of it, where you can't really see it, it's important to keep talking. A lot of people who manipulate in a relationship, they don't like any good people around you,
and they don't like to be questioned. They don't like to have those traits and behaviours.
And if
highlighted.
You are close to people, so you have family relationships, it may be your children, it may be your parents, it may be your friends, your cousins, families, aunties, whatever, people who are close to you, who you may be able to talk to, and they may shed some light on how this person is manipulating you. They don't want those people around you. They don't want you to have relationships where you can get support, because they want you to be in a totally vulnerable state, so that they can continue the abuse for as long as they need you, as long as it takes for them to find somebody else and then just discard you. So you cannot, my words of advice, if you are in a relationship where you feel you're being manipulative, or you are in a relationship with a narcissist, is there is no way that they're going to let you go. They will walk away from you, but there's no way when they're still in a state of getting supply from you that they're going to walk. So you have to be strong enough to say, this is not good for me. This is not doing me any good. Don't look for closure. Do not look for an argument. They will thrive off drama. Narcissists love any attention, be it negative or positive. They just like the attention on them. The minute the attention's not on them, they become sad, they become withdrawn, they question their own existence. It is very important that you keep people around you that will support you, that will listen to you, and that understand that the element, because even if you have people around you who support you, at some point the narcissist will get in contact with them, and we said we weren't going to use none of the labels, but they will, what's called a term called flying monkeys. They will get close to the people around you, anyone who's mutual between you. They will talk to them, try and get people to turn against you, so you have no support network for yourself, so that the manipulation can continue.
But it's also very important, whether it's men or women, family members, friends, whatever, people need to hold others accountable. If you know somebody is doing this to someone else and this is how they're treating them, you need to hold them accountable. Men, if you've got a friend who is manipulating a woman, hold him accountable. Women, if you have a friend who is manipulating a man, hold her accountable. Call them out on their nonsense. And remember, hurt people hurt people. A lot of the time, these people cannot necessarily put themselves in the shoes of the person they're doing it to. But on the other hand, sometimes these people have been through narcissistic abuse themselves, and they have become the person who hurt them.
It's quite happy, because a lot of people will be with narcissists, and then they'll identify as, these terms that are thrown out there as like, trauma bonds and twin flames and toxic, and think this is part of the journey. It isn't part of your journey. Believe you me, you're wasting your life and you're wasting your time, because those people are unable to take accountability. They are unable to change. I've watched many things. I've listened to many key speakers and therapists who said, for a narcissist to change, it is so difficult for them to actually get help, stick with the help and get therapy and counselling. It is really hard. And when you look at, if you do know people who have narcissistic traits, and you go back, you'll see that they've had this relationship again and again and again with different faces. They could be, different colour people. They would have had these relationships with different aged people, but the relationships would have all ended in the same way. They get what they need, and then they move on to the next victim.
And they tend to play victim and then downplay the previous partner to kind of act like that victim, to move on and
say,
move on.
My ex is crazy, my baby mother's crazy. Really?
And a lot of the time
they have a conversation with these
and a lot of the time these kind
forward.
Of people will keep exes in their life. They will keep exes, talking stages, everything in their life. So then if they don't have a current person to go to and drain, they will then go back to someone from their past. So they tend to keep in contact and blur the lines between these relationships. And like Tan said, it doesn't matter what the reaction is, whether it's positive or negative. So a lot of the time they do this triangulation thing where they play two people off against each other. They will literally introduce a third party and sit back and allow the two different people, whether it's two women, two men, whatever, to play off against each other while they sit back and reap all of the reactions that they get from that situation.
And the benefits, because these people will both be trying to do best for the person, because do you know what, sometimes they genuinely love the person, and that's what gets you hooked. You meet somebody, you genuinely have feelings for someone, and it's kind of bizarre to think that somebody would play you like that, but they actually, for them, it's their way of life. It's not actually a game they're playing. They don't know it any better. These are patterns that they formed from a very young age. And unfortunately, many people say this and say this, but it doesn't get better.
It's not impossible to get
worse.
better, but it's almost near impossible.
I've known people who have had children with narcissists, right? We're male, female. There's no way trying to co-parent with a narcissist, trying to have a civil bond, a civil relationship with a narcissist, because their ego, their self-hate, their hate for everybody else gets in the way of any sensible, reasonable, rational thought. at some point they literally go from 0 to 100. A thought will come into their head, they don't know what to do with it, they don't know how to cope with normal understanding people because it's foreign to them. So go on, sorry.
Trying to co-parent with a narcissist sometimes, I've seen many people talk about it, you cannot co-parent effectively with a narcissist. Unfortunately, they counter-parent. So they try to undermine you. They try to do the opposite of what you do. They literally counter everything that you are trying to do to unravel what it is you're doing with the children. So sometimes it's near impossible. They will get, like you said, other people, not necessarily people close to you, they may just get other people on board to do the work for them, to have this false narrative of you, so then they can sit back and have other people doing that to you for them, and then they can kind of step back as the instigator but almost look like they're blame free.
And sort of not to get it twisted, because you can't talk about being in a narcissistic relationship without being negative, because there are no real positive outcomes out of that. But I do want to say we mustn't sort of intertwine manipulative people and narcissists with having a leadership, having defined roles within a household, having a head of a household. In my understanding, for me, not for everybody, for me that would be your husband, your man. That would be your person to lead the household, to take on those roles that are traditionally male roles. Women, the same thing, to be submissive. Men and women submit to what it is the roles are within your household. There's nothing wrong with having set or traditional roles. I mean, there's is beauty in it, in actual fact, and we mustn't get that twisted with a man or a partner wanting you to be the best, to do better, to have some sort of constructive criticism towards you as manipulation, or as that's not it. There's no thin line.
Yeah, or not all people who are manipulative are narcissistic.
Yeah,
some people are just manipulative. And I think the other sad side of it is a lot of people who have developed narcissism or manipulative ways have grown up with manipulative and narcissistic parents. It's not always because they may have been in a narcissistic relationship themselves that they develop these ways, and almost like, well, if you can't beat them, join them. It's unfortunate that some of them, this is their attachment style. They're avoidant, they push away, they pull, they do that kind of thing because their main caregivers did that very thing to them, and then they have grown up with this and it has become intrinsic to them.
Yeah, because the fear of then abandonment, rejection, and all the other styles that come along with those theories is that before these things happen, they don't ever give themselves, they never are in a space of vulnerability. Their whole life they're vulnerable. To be honest with you, I think if I sat down with people who I believe are narcissists, or who may even have diagnosis of narcissism, and peeled back the layers to what got to that point, they would be nothing. They would break down so completely. There's nothing in them. That's why they build up these exteriors, they build up these shells to protect themselves from the hurt and rejection that once was. And to be honest with you, in a lot of situations, I would say, you stick with things and you can build relationships and you can build bridges and you can work out strategies and ways if you love someone. But when it comes to someone not being able to give that back, when things are not reciprocated, you are in a no-win situation. And the best thing you can do for yourself is to just give those people a wide berth. It's really sad when children are brought into the mix of narcissistic parents or a narcissistic parent, because sadly enough, I know what that's like to be a child, who has a manipulative parent, to a want of a word, and it's not nice, and you have to relearn certain things as you become an adult, and you actually are so hypersensitive to manipulative people and narcissistic people. So even when genuinely giving, kind people come into your life, it's actually foreign to you. You don't actually know what to do with it. You tend not to be able to believe people, and that people can be genuine. So for your sake, your own sake, for people around you, if you know anyone who you think is in a manipulative relationship, support them. It's not always easy to leave a narcissistic relationship or abusive relationship, because you actually become quite addicted to the behaviors within a toxic stroke narcissistic relationship, because when you have your ups and downs, as that person will seem very bipolarish. They'll be amazing one day and then the next day just rip you apart, but your body reacts to those highs and lows, actually releasing chemicals and accelerating different chemicals which help your brain to actually become addicted to those highs and lows within the relationship. And you don't know why you keep getting swept back in and pulled back in, and that love bombing. Someone comes and says, I'm really sorry. They will cry. They will, pour out their heart to you and say they'll never do it again. And then it happens because they literally cannot help it. But it's for you, the person who is not narcissistic or doesn't have these traits, to stand up and just walk away. There's literally no easing out. There's no slowly we can come to compromise, we can still be friends. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with a narcissist, you have to clean break, you have to block, delete, and move house if necessary.
Oh my god.
No, but it is like that, because these people cannot control their emotions. They they're not fully aware of the impact that their actions have on other people and how it can actually terrorize another person's life.
But some of them do. Some of them do. Let's not shirk away from that. Some of them do know the impact that it has, but they continue because they thrive off of it. Some of them do it subconsciously because they don't know they're doing it, and others know full well what they're doing, but yet still they do not stop.
So, and what really infuriates a narcissistic person is when you've realised the games that they play, when you realise the manipulation tactics they've used, and they know they almost become resentful, bitter, and angry.
They tend to up the ante. Once you've called out a narcissist, they usually double down on the manipulation, because how dare you identify that in me? How dare you call me out for that? So do you know what? I'm going to go harder with the manipulation, so then they can make out to everybody like you're proper crazy.
Yeah, you're a bad woman, you're not clean,
you're dramatic, melodramatic, you're insane. All the labels come out.
Yeah, and especially when if you're not that type of person, and the people around you, you've never had that opinion cast on you, and this person is, hell-bent on making you feel terrible about yourself, get out. Like, literally, the show we've just done about celebrating who you are, I hope you watched it, and I hope you got something from it, but life is way too short. Your spirit and your soul can be squashed by other people. You can be powerful, you can be protected, but there are energy vampires. There are people, you don't want to know it, but good friend, stroke cousin of mine always says, people are nice, and I find it really hard to believe, because I don't wake up with that attitude that there's people evil in the world, there's people who are not nice, people who wish ill on people, but I say it, girl. So protect yourself, look out for yourself, look after yourself. Don't stay where you're not valued. Don't stay where you don't feel worthy. Know your value, respect yourself, love yourself, because then you can love the next generation. If they see you putting up with certain things, certain behaviours from other people, they will be confused as they grow up. So it's really important to pull back your power, love, light. Sister, sis, peace. We love ya.